love the thunder. Welcome to Stormwatch by GreyNoise Intelligence. Each week, we drop the latest info on what's happening at GreyNoise and Census, take a look at a roundup of important, timely cybersecurity topics, toss out some expert opinions, and the occasional conspiracy theory, except today, where Kimber and I get to talk about a couple of our fave conspiracy theories, whilst we're not under adult supervision, which means our co-hosts Glenn and Emily, who are fronting the attendees of the Census GreyNoise workshop this week, and they're in preparation for that, are not here. So we get to play while the adults are away. This is great.
Yeah.
Kimber, how you doing today?
Doing good. Got back late last night from a very beautiful weekend trip where some friends got married, and
Wow, nice.
I got to see the ocean. It was great, and now I'm back in Salt Lake, ready to go.
So
until next week when it is Thanksgiving and traveling again.
So which ocean? Which ocean though? Because there's a lot of them. Pacific. Well, there's a lot of oceans.
Yeah, there are, and quite frankly, I could have been at any of them. So yeah. The Pacific Ocean.
Before we actually keep going with the intro, I gotta know what the dinosaur is.
Oh, it's Sinclair.
Oh, I didn't even. Yeah, I couldn't see. That's cool.
I just love it's part of like Wyoming culture and I think Utah culture. These little like green dinosaurs outside gas stations. Maybe it's everywhere. I don't know.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So are you ready to warp some minds with our conspiracy theory segment today?
Oh, I hope so. I think I've got a couple of good ones that maybe people don't know about. So this will be very informative for those of you who really like conspiracy.
Yeah, and for folks that are joining, I can't tell how many people are watching live. If you have any or you have questions about conspiracy theories, like drop them in there. Like we gotta. I think that was Glenn. I think I just saw Glenn Dad on saying I'm keeping my eyes on y'all. Yeah, good luck with that, Dad.
I had no idea how much Glenn was our supervision here, how much he kept us in line.
He did. He's literally the actual like constraining force.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is great. So as usual, making all this possible, and the only reason it goes as smoothly as it does is our amazing Overwatch Ashley. Good morning, Ashley. And now before we get into everything, I do need to issue a correction right up front. So last time around, y'all were like go crazy about our graphics, and I erred because I gave singular praise to one individual on the GreyNoise design team. And actually, because it turns out, and like, who knew that they loved the podcast and webcast so much that every single member of the GreyNoise design team dedicates a portion of their creative powers to make this webcast and podcast graphics. The ones that look good, the ones that look sucky are me, all me. So Nathan, Donna, Austin, we appreciate you, all you. Just thank you so much for what you do.
All around.
And so if you are joining us live, please, like I said, drop conspiracy theories, ask us stuff, heckle, whatever. Glenn, you could just be quiet. As usual, I also I'm going to jump to the slides. And actually, did I jump to the slides? I can't see. Yes, I did. Okay. So we have a podcast. If you don't know that by now, you do now. We're going to be changing up URLs probably in December because I believe the registration for a new secret one just actually got approved and it will be live in December. I won't be live now. And that means they'll be shorter for you, Glenn, so you don't have to type as much and remember as much because that's hard for people like that. And so please join us there if you don't already do that. And I also, just before we get into anything, especially the good news, my family and I had a chance to visit Iceland back in 2021, and beautiful land. I thought like the down east part of Maine was the most gorgeous place on the planet for me. Turns out Iceland is. So my heart goes out to all the people there that are evacuating a city that or a town that may no longer exist in a couple of days. If you don't know what's going on there's a bunch of earthquakes, and there may be a pretty massive volcanic eruption happening there. It will likely wipe out a town. So I just want to send out some love, some good vibes. And also, this is an amazing like map and graphic and visualization that somebody made. So the URL is right down there. Please visit that if you want to go see what's happening, and you do get live reports there. So we may actually see like the erasure of an entire town later this week. That's kind of scary.
It's been a fascinating story to follow. I'm very curious. So what a cool website. What a cool visualization.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's beautiful. And actually, there is a buy me a coffee link on there because this he's getting hammered. He's getting hammered. This site. I'm glad for the visits and the attention. So if you do get a chance, drop the dude coffee so you can pay for the web costs because they actually is getting hit with a lot of bandwidth. A lot of news sites. I don't think any like legit news outlets follow us, but if you do, shame for not actually giving him money to help for that. Like I know y'all are strapped too, but come on, you guys can afford that. You make a lot of money. Anyway, so we like to start off because we're usually very depressing towards like by the end, and lately we're trying to do some good stuff at the end too. So we try to like a good sandwich here. Um, we like to start with some good news because we get a lot of bad news in cyber. So we do have some great news. Starting off with, you still have time to register and attend the census/GreyNoise. It's like census is doing all the hard work. Let's be clear, Glenn is there, so like it's
yes.
actually Emily doing really all the hard work. So please hit that link up. You still have time to get there. Lots of free stuff going on there, and the knowledge drop you're going to get there is just incredible. So if you have the time, if I could pry myself away tomorrow, if I didn't have to do Glenn's job for him tomorrow, I would definitely go down there and actually go do that. It's basically they're thrunting everybody. We get to say thrunting without Glenn here
We
too. This is great.
Emily is not here to shame us for saying thrunting, so this is a thrunting workshop.
and I guess we will see if Emily comes back on the cast next time around.
Let's
Now,
see. This should be great, though. I am
yeah,
the idea of using census to do all of the threat hunting and like figure out some infrastructure things. Big fan of that.
yeah. The one thing that it's not on the public version of SIFT yet, where SIFT is going through a very rapid application development right now. And there's a new feature in the internal version that we have of SIFT, which any IP addresses that we're seeing in SIFT, there's a link to click to go right out to the census view
Oh,
for that
nice.
for the IP addresses. Because you might if the so for folks like just to stop for a second, internally we don't necessarily need to do that. We just care about getting the tag out and kind of going, and maybe we'll investigate the IPs if we get time for it later. The folks that are actually doing real threat hunting in like real organizations, that the IP address info, like the scan data, is super important on the census side for that. You get to see all the stuff about the host, learn more about what's going on there, maybe get some understanding of what the actual compromise is, and share that info with your information sharing partners. So this is a great workshop to learn how to do that if you've never learned how to do, and it's free. It's
Mhm.
free. So
I
definitely
also
do that.
like at the bottom it says heavy appetizers.
Wow. Like, so does that like lead? Is like they're
Like
lead laced? Is that what?
maybe some nice like potatoes. Potatoes feel heavy. I don't know, but I'm curious what that means. So the
I mean,
community needs to go check that out and report back. What
I
is
kind
heavy
of
appetizers?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel bad for like the people that have to go around and serve them. Like
Right?
they gotta be like really ripped.
Maybe they'll be very buff humans just
Yeah,
serving the appetizers. Anyways, go check it out.
yeah, definitely. And also another piece of good news: Glenn is not
Oh,
here. So sorry, bud. Had to
look,
take the shot.
I'm sad that Glenn's not here. Oh, if only because I don't get to hear you guys go back and forth.
Okay, well, we will make up for that next time.
Good. Good.
And okay, real good news though. Actually, I mean real like good cyber like bad good guy news. It turns out that like we may see a small reduction for a while in the effectiveness of initial access via phishing, including ransomware attacks, Kimber.
I am excited to see how this turns out. Um, the more that people get arrested for things involving ransomware, the more interested I am to see if we can see that change. I mean, I don't think like in our GreyNoise data, we won't, we can't see
Yeah,
ransomware stuff, but
well, I mean, like there are a couple hundred CVEs that are for initial access that are associated with ransomware. Maybe we will or will not see a change in this, and we will definitely not see a change in the phishing related ones.
right, in the phishing
Um,
ones.
to give people, so for those that are listening and not viewing, because we do appreciate the podcast listeners. So the Royal Malaysian Police have taken down Bulletproof Link. This has been a site that's been up since 2015. This is great. I squeed when I read this news the other day because like, oh my gosh, this is going to make a dent for a while at least. And like I said before, it gained a lot of attention in 2018. Thousands of bad folk and middling folk were subscribed to this. They paid for access to the credential logs. This is part of a larger phishing as a service platform. That's a thing. Like it's basically the Amazon for phishing.
It's such a
Um,
thing.
Yeah, it's not great. And they got help from the Australian Federal Police and the FBI, and they dismantled the operations. They also got crypto wallets, servers, computers, jewelry. They got bling. They got bling from this. This is great. Vehicles. Why do these people always buy fancy vehicles? Like seriously,
Baller
I,
life,
I
man.
guess.
They're
Well, like for a while.
8,000 active subscribers with access to 327 phishing page templates. That is a hustle.
Yeah.
Like 8,000 people subscribing to this. I'm curious how much a subscription costs. Did the article mention that?
I do not believe it did. And I did not. I did not use this service, so I don't have firsthand knowledge. Honestly, I don't have firsthand knowledge. So,
What a coordination, though. I mean,
yeah,
Australian FBI and then the Malaysian police.
yeah.
And
So, and I'm glad you mentioned the coordination because all of the takedowns of the past year have been a coordinated effort across all of these agencies. Like they're working so much better together than they ever have before, and they're having a real impact. It's great. It's just really great to see.
this is significant,
Yeah.
I think. So,
And
very
it's
curious.
great it's great timing because maybe defenders could actually have holidays at the end of the year this year.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah. We're rooting for you out there, folks. Like even though we don't have to actually do the defending, like we try to help you and like we do have to do some stuff, but you have to do more. So we appreciate you. All right, we have to talk about some breaking news. There's always apparently breaking news. I was hoping this section would go away at some point, but I think we're always going to have it. I get to rant a little here about like one of my favorite topics, Maine. Like I will say nice things about Maine, but I also hate MOVEit. And we like the combined Stormwatch team prevents me from just ranting about MOVEit every single time, which you should thank them for that because I would every single time. Except I get to rant about it now because I am now a third time victim of this time by my state. So my state confirmed that criminals exploited the MOVEit vulnerability between May 28th and 29th. Thanks for waiting so long, Maine people. 1.3 million of us were affected. 1.3 million total were affected, including like 500,000 of us Maine folk. I believe I will be one of them. I haven't gotten a notice yet, but I'm pretty sure I will. Um, they got everything, so all the IDs, all the things that are supposed to be secret, and also health insurance data. So that's great. That's just great. So I am gonna deviate because I know we had a section for conspiracy theories, but I actually do have a really I'm gonna go back to me too, so that people know that it's actually me saying this, and I'm not saying it on behalf of everyone else. I have suspected for about 4 years now. That's why the tinfoil hat for this too. Um, I think there is a number of health insurers that maybe help facilitating ransomware attacks.
Oh, that's the tinfoil hat today. Exceptionally
Yeah.
appropriate. Yes.
Although I will say with the ring light, which is beaming on this, is actually creating quite the heat. Like I feel like Jiffy Pop popcorn right now with that. Anyway, I say that because they want these insurers in the U.S. health insurance. By the way, for people that aren't from the U.S. and if you haven't heard us rant about health insurance in the U.S., health insurance in the U.S. sucks. Okay, it's absolutely stupid. It's terrible. It's the worst thing ever. Healthcare in the U.S. is terrible too, and the insurers try to do what they can to not pay anything. And one way to do that is like, hey, if you have a pre-existing condition or other health stuff or have health events in the past, maybe they can use that against you. So I've had a thing in the back of my craw for a while now that I don't know if I'm not going to say the big ones or all of them, or maybe there's a third party on their behalf, or maybe not on their behalf. Maybe there's like a wall that they pretend exists, and these folks gather this information via the ransomware attacks that the attackers do. But I actually do think that there is a nefarious market associated with some of these things, especially when like patient data, healthcare data gets swarmed up into all of these ransomware attacks. That's kind of one of my things.
I mean, when I think about the 5 different layers of MOVEit that have personally affected me, how many like breach notifications? At least 2/3 of them are healthcare related. And this main one
It is too.
was, yeah. So either healthcare needs a vast amount more resources or deeply invested in your conspiracy theory here. I totally see what you're saying.
I mean, it's possible. We're not saying it is. I'm just asking questions. All I'm doing is
Yeah.
asking questions. Just
I'm
asking
just thinking
questions.
about it. I'm just thinking about it out loud and seeing what happens.
So just remember that out there, folks. And just for the tally, this makes around 2,400 organizations globally that we know about, because not everybody reports things or has to report things. And about almost 73 million people, humans, have been swept up in these data leaks that are out there. So this isn't great. This is a bad situation, and it's just going to continue to get worse. And I think,
And
go ahead.
maybe we were about to mention this, but shouldn't we? We should probably see all of the states.
Oh yeah. That's how I was going to go.
roll
Yeah.
this out. Yeah.
100%. Matter of fact, like I will be nice to Glenn for an entire day, if not every state has a breach notice about MOVEit.
Yeah. Including Hawaii and Alaska, every
Yeah.
state, and maybe even the territories as well, Puerto Rico, etc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not good. So there we go. So rant over for that. This next one is breaking news, but I want to talk about this and sort of breaking the hype. And I am not saying that Dan Good, and Dan does great work, one of the better cyber reporters, maybe one of the best cyber reporters. So this isn't a dig against ours or Dan. I think the article is great, very solid information, good facts, very readable. But the minute that you see headlines that say like SSH is broken, that's not what this one, but that a lot of other ones do. It's all of a sudden like everyone panics, all of the hype machine gets out there. It's just insane. It's just stupid. And one thing we try to do is like calm everybody down. Not such a bad thing. So first of all, read Dan's article. We're not going to read, like, we're going to read a portion of his article, but we're not going to read the whole thing. Read the article. Great article. Read the paper that it's based on. There's a bunch of academics that did a paper. Good research, good solid research by them. So the lowdown on this one is researchers have discovered that a significant number of cryptographic keys used to protect data in computer to server, so client server, SSH traffic, are vulnerable to compromise. The vulnerability occurs when errors happen during the signature generation process while establishing a connection. So there's like a little bit of like kerfuffle that happens in the beginning of that connection sequence. This affects RSA keys. So if you're using like other ones, you're cool. And it's roughly a third of the SSH signatures examined. So they actually looked at the signatures from a bunch of scan data. And that's about 1 billion signatures out of 3.2 billion. And surprisingly, most SSH software, including OpenSSH, have deployed countermeasures to check for signature faults before sending them over the internet. So that's right there, right in Dan's article. He completely, calms everybody down. But people read headlines. People don't read the articles. So please read the article, because Dan right up front just calms you all down. So calm down if you were getting excited about this. And you can read the rest of it about like the faults and how they occurred or whatever. It's good information, good solid information. But if you want even more terse or quick or TLDR-ish version of this, you can also head over to Y Combinator, hacker news channel, where, and I never pronounce Tom's name right, so just go look, and it's Tom. And the great information. So in rare vulnerable targets, this weakness or this attack allows you to recover the host key and impersonate the host. Not good. Because if you can do that, then you can trick people into like sending their creds over, and you can act like a thing in the middle and basically get all the traffic and do all the things. And it's not great. Like, this is a bad weakness if it actually is a thing. And like we heard from Dan, OpenSSH has figured this out a while ago. Everything uses OpenSSH for the most part, not everything, but like most decent things, all your Linux boxes pretty much use it, unless you've changed it out. So you're pretty good. And if you're not using the RSA keys, you're also doing fine too. So again, calm down. I would like Kimber to read this though, because if I read it, I'm just going to giggle with delight, and I can't do that on the air.
Just one of my favorite quotes that I think I've seen in a while. The things that are vulnerable are crappy middle boxes from Zixel Mokana, apparently a rare subset of Cisco devices, and whatever, quote, SSH-2.0-SSHD, end quote, is, in parentheses. The authors don't know either.
Yeah, the authors of the paper. It's 2023, Kimber. And I wish Emily were here, and maybe we'll talk to her like about this when we're back on all together next week at the family reunion, before the family reunion at Thanksgiving. Because I think Census might have better ideas of what some of these things actually are, but it's 2023 and there's stuff we still don't, the fundamental things we don't know.
Right.
How are we supposed to defend stuff?
Like, there's just this. I love that when vulnerabilities comes out, there's at least like a decent subset of people being like, "What the heck is this?" Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of Zixel, obviously, but I don't know Mokana. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I don't know.
Googling that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and the
anyway.
fun thing is, if you go to the thread again, links are all in there. The one of the replies in the thread, someone dug a little, and looks like there's a Java SSH server and another one of Java based things that might be on some garbage boxes as well too. Sorry for the manufacturers of the garbage boxes. You have garbage boxes.
Well, I think where
Deal
the
with it.
hype will come from with this one, and all the community discussions, etc., it's just going to be people trying to like understand it because largely people don't understand like SSH.
Yeah,
That's my hot
exactly.
take.
Yep, that's a good point. So, and I guess secondarily, so I'm gonna put well, I'm not gonna take off my tinfoil, but I will put my Glenn hat on. I'll put Dad's hat on. So for the defenders out there who are going to be tasked with dealing with this oh my gosh thing that's in the news, one thing I would say is like you shouldn't have SSH exposed to the internet anyway. So if you do, like this is your chance to get it turned off. I would go that route before panicking or doing anything else. I would also make sure you have an inventory of what you have on the internet SSH wise. That would be using scan data either. And I would also say you do your own scans, but then go visit census and see what they say about your perimeter, because you might have some SSH you don't know about. Just throwing it out there. And then I would say internally, if you are concerned about people like doing this internally, you've got bigger problems than just this particular vulnerability. Internally means you have attackers within your borders, and you have to do all sorts of other things besides worry about that particular thing.
The call
And
is coming from inside the house.
yeah, any other advice for folks, since you actually had to deal with responding to things like this at one point? Remember?
Oh, I always just the environment evaluation, like know your environment, like actually see what's out there.
Mm,
It becomes extremely important with SSH in particular. And like if you think that something is key-based authentication only, just actually evaluate,
yep.
try it out. Put on your attacker hat for like just a minute in those environments in particular and just really see what's up on your perimeter.
And if you do happen to get that SSH 20 SSHD signature back on your scans, like maybe throw those things out. Just
Yeah,
throwing it out there.
garbage.
Just saying it. All right. This is it. This is the section I want to believe. I will figure out how to route sound out through this thing. So I was going to put the X file sound for people that can't see. We have Ghosty instead of a spaceship in the I want to believe from the X Files thing on here. And so we're not gonna dwell on this
No.
for a whole long time, but we're gonna talk about a couple. And I'm gonna start. I had, for folks that can see, and this will be in the PDFs that we link to in the show notes. I had the latest Chat GPT, who's integrated with Dolly, shoot some bullets into the planet. Every time you do use these AI things, it actually kills the planet a little more. So you are actually literally firing bullets into the planet.
Wow.
So I did that. I wantonly just threw that caution to the wind, like destroyed the environment a little more,
For
to
the
create
sake
what
of
I
art.
thought was a great graphic. This is a pretty nice graphic about a noise storm.
I love the tornado made of like hex and binary
Yeah, like
numbers.
yeah, it's actually pretty neat. So I didn't want to link to any like things because we're just conspiracy theorying. We do have some data on noise storms. That's boring though. Who wants to talk about data? We're just conspiracy theorying. So I'll describe the noise storm to folks. We literally just had, and like we, not just us, the internet just had this. So
The
first of all,
internet.
noise storms are when there is a barrage, and I mean like millions upon millions upon millions upon millions, and I keep saying that word, of basically just like spoofed sin to almost every single port. It's not every single port, it's about a couple thousand known ports, or ports that are kind of regularly done, and you can't tell where it's coming from. It's the IP addresses are spoofed from all over the place, and they just barrage every device on the internet, and every single device sees these things. And one reason why we know about it is like it floods our data collection pipeline. Like we withstand that because we had the best engineering team on the planet. Just FYI,
Mhm.
everybody out there. But we withstand it, but it's still a pain, and it also costs us more to store things or whatever. They're not attacking us though. They're just blasting the internet with this white noise.
Yeah. I
And
mean, important context of if for our users who are not obsessed with networking and internet, the SYN packet is the first part of the TCP handshake. So if you're just blasting that across the internet, and it doesn't matter if the handshake completes, and it's all traffic that is spoofable. So because that handshake doesn't complete, it's never able to be verified that the IP sending it is the one that's actually sending it.
Yep.
So it truly is just it's an energy blast because the
Yeah.
internet is electricity, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're
Exactly.
energy blasting the internet.
And so we don't know why. That's the thing. Like, so it is a defined number. It's not everywhere. It's a defined number of ports, but it's a lot of them coming from everywhere. So a couple things about this attack. So actually, this is a great question. And
Great question.
I will not I will not disrespect you by trying to pronounce your name. Thank you for this question. So someone tried to DDoS the internet. No. So this isn't like
That's the other interesting part of this, is
yeah,
it's
go ahead.
not
Yeah.
a DDoS. It's just like a wave of traffic that's completely withstandable by like any devices, truly, because you are not necessarily like getting any load on your box. At least I'm pretty sure. I don't
No,
think
yeah,
that
no load, zero
can be
load. No,
taken
no.
down
Even on my little honeypots that I run separate from GreyNoise ones, like
because
it's nothing. Yeah.
they're not sending any data over with this. It's
Right.
purely just like it kind of looks like a port knock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, that's a really good. That's a. Of course, it is because you said it, but that's a great like way of describing it. So now, in terms of resource consumption, no, like the CPU utilization is nothing on even like a Raspberry Pi, which is what I have like measuring some of the stuff. However, one reason why we have like a data problem for it is because we record everything. Like we actually really, yeah, something like I'll push this up too. So something like a mass scan, just the SYN part of it though. No SYN ACK and everything, like nothing. It's just that first probe out. And so if you are logging all things, and which some devices might do that. So we do that because we care about everything that happens on the internet. So we absorb all this thing. It becomes data that we actually look at. That's what the spoofable false is. If you do GNQL with GreyNoise, that's why we have spoofable false. So these aren't, so you can actually filter out things that we've seen as spoofable IP addresses. So not every IP address we've ever seen has been spoofed, but about half of them actually have been. And so a couple things about this to keep it in the conspiracy realm. These tend to occur during major global not great events like are happening right now.
Global spiciness.
I like that. Global spiciness. I like that.
Yeah, it's very in line with
The first one happened that we've been measuring back in like around, I want to say 2020, when I was not a GreyNoise employee, but I was friends with Mr. Morse, and we both literally shouted at each other almost at the exact second, what the bleep is going on right now, because both of our sensor networks caught this. It actually overwhelmed both for our sensor networks back in the day. And so we started digging into it, and that occurred right at the time when the Soleimani attack, like when basically we decided to go blow up a human over in the Middle East somewhere. And during a bunch of other global events, global spicinesses, we see these things occur. So this could be being done to like temporarily like blind some kind of devices, or overwhelm some logs, or have a bunch of folks look in this direction when you're doing something, because the misdirection for DDoS is a big thing, but this isn't DDoS. But this is like my only thing for conspiracy theory is, the other part of the conspiracy theory is this has to be happening at the core router portion of
yes,
the internet.
yes. It
Yeah.
is not distributed infrastructure in the traditional sense.
No.
It's not Mirai. And
No.
that's what makes it so fascinating for me, and
Yeah.
that's what gets my conspiracy brain going, is it has to be happening at the core level of the internet in a very, like, obfuscated way. Like, I think that's the best way of referring to this, like, the core internet routers, like, I
Yeah.
don't know a better term to describe it, but, like,
Yeah.
it's not the botnets doing it,
No. So
and that's
some
why it's so interesting.
So my conspiracy theory is that basically there are one or more nation states either collaborating with each other, or just they both happen to have access to core routers in very big data centers that I won't mention names of because you all recognize them and I don't want to get sued. That they basically decide to do this every so often when they need to run an op somewhere, and that op needs to have whatever the devices or logs or systems or humans distracted for a while they go do whatever else is they're going to do. I don't have a link to if you go to the if you go to Observable HQ, look for GreyNoise. I actually have a demonstration of what this looks like and how much different it is from normal traffic that we see every day. And I have to add like the past few storms into it. This was like a last year graphic I did, but it's very overwhelming. Like there's a lot of extra data, there's a lot of extra stuff.
I don't
Yeah,
think
crazy stuff.
your traditional SOC would not see this traffic at all because we're logging on such a level that we pick this up.
Yep.
But because of the way that it does the port scan, I would be surprised if your SOC would get any alerts on this.
Right.
Which is why we need you to like go look at that data and be like, no, believe us, this is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, and we've talked to departments, agencies, whatever you will. And I get enough of a lack of reply that I'm pretty sure my theory is maybe not just a theory.
Yeah.
So.
Nobody will talk to us about it. It's fine.
But no one who wants to talk to me anyway? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the graphic up for the next one because Kimber's got a bunch of really great one. Oh, we might have to pick up one. This is another graphic that I had GPT-4 Plus / Dolly make. The prompt was the prompts don't matter. It's a creepy graphic. If you can't see it, you'll see it in the show notes link. Creepy. It's a creepy graphic. It did a fine job, but it's still creepy. And I am going to get off of this right now, and I'm gonna ask Kimber. So Kimber, you have a couple of interesting conspiracy theories.
I am going to start with the dead internet theory. And this is basically the concept that the internet consists entirely of automatically generated content that is manipulated by the algorithm. So everything that we experience as a social network on the internet is generated by the algorithm that controls everything. And one of the best parts of this conspiracy theory that really makes it stay in my heart and love it and cherish it is that nobody knows who created the algorithm. It is the all like knowing content generator. It's like there was no like group attributed to creating it. It's like kind of taken on a life of its own and can be manipulated by governments for like, oh, what's the word? Why is my brain just going entirely blank right now? This is
That's cool. So like I'll give you time to background process. So does this mean that every single thing that we encounter on the internet is part of the algorithm?
Specifically the social networks of the internet. So one of the
Gotcha. Okay.
primary, I think like it also keys on one of those like great human, like people are lonely, people want to connect with others. And the way that we primarily do that is we go on like Mastodon, we go on Reddit, etc. So everything that you see on Reddit is just bot generated. There's not actually that many people participating in this. Like
I'd believe that. I would 100% believe that.
like nobody's actually out there writing Reddit posts. It's all just like generated by AI, like algorithms. The internet's dead. Think about how much you generate versus how much you consume. And if you're generating 10% of like content and you're consuming like 90% content, like
Okay, so does this mean that Elon Musk is a double agent and actually is destroying Twitter to actually hinder the efficacy of the algorithm?
look, I'm not saying that, Bob, but people who believe in the dead internet theory believe that Elon Musk is saving the world. And I'm not saying that I'm a believer. I'm just saying that I deeply appreciate this conspiracy theory.
It is a good conspiracy, and the
propaganda. It's propaganda.
Propaganda. There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
And the similarity of replies on various, because I'm not on all the socials, but I am on a few of them, and the timeliness of the replies into various threads with very similar, not the exact same, which is also kind of weird, but not very similar information or posits. Oh, we have a couple actually, are that it's true. So we have a couple. We have some people that have some. So, so if you wanted to loop unrelated people into a warrant, you could always identify internet connections talking to the people you have a warrant for. That, yeah, you so that is something that we could do for there. We'll hide that. We have another one. Social media equals biological fork bomb.
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean that's legit though. I'm not sure that's
Yeah,
a
that's
conspiracy.
just facts.
I think that's fact. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that's what it is. All
So
right,
that's my top right now.
cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably not like blow people's minds anymore because like we have a bunch more
No.
and will have to pace it out. I'm sure we can get Glenn and Emily. Well, actually, I think Emily would join in. We can get Glenn squirreled away somewhere and do this again sometime. We have to get back into some real
There's giving
news.
people a lot to think about right
I
now,
I
especially with
know.
the noise storm stuff. That's just like the
Yeah.
first time that I had Andrew Morris like explain this to me, my mind got blown, and now I'm haunted. So
And we might have to blog because I don't think we blogged the last noise storm, so we'll probably have to blog it maybe in December or the quiet month. It'd be good content to throw out to there. And
yeah.
Ashley just smiled because we actually said we'd write content, which she always is asking me to do. So regular news, back to our regular scheduled stuff. So no diss here for folks that are SumoLogic customers, users, or downstream impact from them. They had a breach the other day, November 3rd. Basically, they discovered it. I will basically just read through a part of their disclosure. SumoLogic detected unauthorized access to the AWS account using compromised credentials. However, there have been no impacts to their networks or systems, and customer data remains encrypted. But okay, I'm gonna read the rest in a second, but how can there be no impact if you detected unauthorized access to the account? I mean, there
Look,
was
it was
unauthorized
just
access, so there's already I don't understand.
somebody's just poking around. Somebody's checking it out.
Just
Just wanted to see if the creds worked.
just okay, sure, just test the creds. Okay, I guess. There you go.
Yeah.
So despite the fact that nothing was wrong, they locked down the exposed infrastructure, so that means there was exposed infrastructure, and rotated the potentially exposed credentials, except that we know that they were exposed because they got used. They just said they got used. This is where we actually do need Dad, Glenn. We do need you to, because like I need you to like go through. Like we may need you to have to do a post mortem on this next time when you're around, because you like to break through these things and like really call it out. And I'm just having fun conspiracy otherwise today, but this is not the best notification. Let's put it that way. They're actively investigating the incident, but hey, despite the fact that nothing broke, nothing's wrong, maybe you should rotate all your creds out there.
You know what I want? Like my ideal notification of like a breach, like detected unauthorized access. Like how did you detect it? Like where did you detect it? Like what do other people need to know to like detect this
Yeah,
kind of access? And then like what infrastructure was exposed? And yes,
yeah,
Sumo is wrestling with clear communication. I
epic.
am going to
That's
assume
epic.
that's Glenn.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, he had plenty of time to think about a response versus the normal how he does
That
things. So
was
yeah.
clever.
It was. It was. The one thing that there's chatter. This is chatter, so it does fit with the conspiracy theory theme of today. So it's not confirmed. At one point, there were like AWS creds found in SumoLogic's GitHub repo. One of them, one of the repos, maybe more, but at least one. Not maybe not these, but they did. That's easy to do. This is again, no. I'm not ragging. This and people make humans. We're good at making mistakes. We're really, really good at making mistakes.
Mhm.
So just double check creds in your config files and all that kind of stuff in your GitHubs, because that's not a great thing.
Do a nice little GitHub audit, and have some kind of there are things that will alert you if
Yeah.
you put keys on GitHub.
Yeah,
So
and GitHub will actually do the GitHub auto scans everything now. So like if it finds what looks like an AWS key, like it will tell you, which is, I mean, for as much as I hate its parent company, like this is a nice little feature you get on there if you want to stick on there. Um, and with another one, so with all the good news from before, we had about takedowns and actually being effective. We have flip side of that, because ransomware always, it's like Hydra. You cut off one head, like two will take its place. Bitdefender has a great research article. It's really well written. I really want to. I don't like. They're one of the few I actually tell people to go read their stuff. There's not a whole bunch of vendors. There's like a handful. Like I think we're one of them. That the write-ups are great. This is an excellent write-up by Bitdefender. I would encourage everyone to go read this. And it turns out that so Hive, which got taken down earlier this year in January, It's back. Yeah, I mean, you know what? It would have been great if we had done this. If this was a Halloween thing, we could have done this for like Halloween.
Spooky.
Um, yeah. So basically, after the seizure, so they're back. They've basically transferred all their assets to like another group who's just basically assuming all of the infra that they had before. And I really liked this one summary that the Bitdefender had up about what happens after the seizure of a ransomware group's infrastructure. And there's four scenarios that occur. One is that some ransomware groups, even with disrupted infrastructure, can persist by using backup resources or alternative communication channels to maintain operations. Hey, enterprises, maybe take a note and like have like alternative infrastructure and backup ops for when like things bad happen to you. If they can do this, you can. I swear you can.
Gosh.
It's
Can I
just
just comment
yeah.
really
Oh
quick?
yeah. Go yeah.
I
Absolutely.
hate that I'm recognizing the Chat GPT pattern. I hate that I'm recognizing the Chat GPT
I
pattern.
was wondering if I was
Oh,
the only
no.
one that thought that this might have been partially ChatGPT written because like it
I
actually
think I'm
does have
cursed with like seeing this pattern and being like
yeah.
ChatGPT, but you know, it is still it's still
It's
valid.
accurate. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's accurate.
I would guarantee that almost I don't work there. I don't know every human there. The people that I do know there and the reputation that I do know they have there, I don't think they would just copy and paste from ChatGPT. I'm
Yeah.
fairly certain they wouldn't.
They at least
And
looked at it and were like, "Yeah, agreed."
yeah. And by the way, we are upfront with our use of it and things. So like if like just if we and I know we've said it at least once or twice before, we could put it in every one if you want to. The chat the podcast, video cast, whatever transcript you see, 100%
Oh, yeah.
comes from Whisper. It's not ChatGPT. Well, it's just Whisper transcribed is what that is. And the summaries are all like chat. It's either Perplexity or ChatGPT does the summaries for those because like
We
I don't
don't
got
have an
time.
intern for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we don't have interns. We could get interns to do this
We
work.
could get
Ashley,
interns.
we could get interns to do this for Ashley. Okay,
Ashley.
yeah, we got to do this. So we will move on. They
Oh, nice.
rebrand. So they yes, please. Um, they may rebrand. They can change their name, tactics, techniques, logos, whatever for that. They may actually disband for a while and let things blow over and then like you lay low and then emerge again. That's been a thing for the past at least 7 years that we've seen a couple groups do that. And sometimes they'll actually sell their operations. Like so, this is like any other like other nefarious type of maybe like legit organization like financial services firms. Where like they might perform some of these same tactics and techniques for their stuff as they move their shenanigans around.
I
So
think
yeah.
selling their operation is probably the best option, in my
I mean
opinion.
I mean at some point you have enough money, go live in Greece or Spain or just live the life,
Buy the Lambo, live the dream.
Yeah. I mean if I did that's what I would be doing.
Yep.
Not great. So we're gonna move from that not so great news to some interesting, potentially cool news out there. How would you say how would you describe the overtime effectiveness or efficacy of the CVE program, Kimber?
Oh, it's missing some stuff.
Misses stuff every so often.
Missing some-
Um, and so there are a lot of things that aren't in there. And actually, what I have up on the screen is something about the not CVE program, but like since it's just Kimber and I like to talk to Kimber instead of just have stuff on the screen. And what we're noticing at GreyNoise, and I'm trying to get Howdy and Brianna, because I know you're listening, to write a blog post and maybe come on the show to talk about the increasing emergence of vulnerability information in non-Western forums.
Yes.
And in non-Latin languages that are out there. We have two folks that may be learning Mandarin so that they can participate in forums and read things without having to rely on translation software to do things. That's really important because there are a lot of vulnerabilities in databases that are not CVE. And increasingly, the CVE program is a little less effective than I would probably like it to be, despite the emergence of CVSSS4, which we'll talk about someday more in depth or
Shout out
whatever.
to the homie Kristen Del Rosso from Sophos, who did a talk at CyberWarCon about the China one, the
Oh,
China
cool.
vulnerability.
Oh
Yeah,
man, now I wish I was at CyberWarCon.
she also did that talk at LabsCon last year, and it was absolutely fascinating. So
Wow.
highly recommend. I think it's online somewhere.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to
But
find that link and maybe show it next show or just get in the show notes or something because like
yeah,
that would be a great talk for folks to listen to because there is more to life than CV. So if you didn't know
yes,
that, and there's a lot of things emerge like not here first, and like and not forms you normally monitor first, and it's really important to take care of that. So I'm gonna zoom back to this thing real quick. So this not CV program is, so it's notcv.org for the folks that want to go to it right away if you're listening and not just wait for the show notes. It's supposed to be something where you can basically have a database of things that are important, but they weren't CVified. And so I will mention the mission of the not CVE program is to provide a common space for cybersecurity, not vulnerabilities that are not acknowledged by vendors, but are still serious security issues. And you can, and so these not vulnerabilities are security issues that would reduce the expected amount of work to be done by an attacker to successfully attack a target. They can also be fully fledged attacks on their own. And the folks behind the site believe that these not vulnerabilities should be identified, categorized, made known to the community, and even when the vendors don't acknowledge it or refuse to acknowledge that these things actually exist. There is a single entry in the database right now, and one reason why I felt so. I might normally wait until there were more, but if folks don't know these things exist, you can't contribute to make them better so that there are more, so that it becomes very useful. So this is the one that's in there is a secure boot, a secure boot bypass, say that 12 times fast, in some mobile SOC like system on chip. So this is great that there's one there. It's a great example. Lots of information on the site about that, and it talks about the folks that are part of it, and you can report or request an entry on that thing too. So definitely check it out. If you have ideas around it, please also like poke at that, because I'm sure they would like help in formulating what this looks like, and it may become as important as the CVE program and the non-CVE programs in other countries moving forward. I think this is a really neat initiative that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. So we'll report back if it's got some pretty major developments, maybe even get them on the pod.
This is cool.
We are not talking about this because this literally just dropped before, like literally while we were doing pre-show stuff. So we can't go any depth. But Andy Greenberg over at Wired has what looks to be a fascinating story about the 3 young hackers who built a web killing monster who finally have told their story. It's called the Mirai Confessions. I am going to be reading this later today because I'm deeply interested in seeing what this story looks like and what it sounds. And Andy does great work when he's doing interviews. So this is great.
It is currently in my next over browser tab, and I'm very curious to read this one. So,
cool. So if anyone else does read this and wants to chime in next week, we will probably talk about this a little bit next week. Just to stay tuned. And now it's a segment that we've kind of had like accidentally in the past few, and I decided, and like hopefully it works out and we can toss it if it doesn't. But we've mentioned some tools every so often now to help with either inspecting things or responding to things or poking at things or sanitizing things. There are lots of cyber tools. We're not going to become the cyber tool show. We're not going to do that. But if there's interesting things out there that relate to our world, right, Kimber, vulnerabilities, the kind of stuff, we should probably drop some of that information on folks that are out there, I thought. And this one today, maybe folks will find useful. It's from the GitHub repos Aqua Nautilus. I did not dig into who those folks are behind that or not yet. And the tool is called the CVE Half Day Watcher. So that's a real. So the name just like half day, like not end day, not O day, not one like not. It's a half day. What is that? So the CVE Half Day Watcher is a security tool designed to highlight the risk of early exposure of common vulnerabilities and exposures in the public domain. It hits up the NVD API. It identifies recently published CVEs that have GitHub references before an official patch is released. And by doing so, this watcher can try to underscore the window of opportunity for attackers to harvest this information and develop exploits. This tool is a proof of concept ready to be built upon and extended. So in other words, if there's an NVD like entry and it's got GitHub links in it, this thing tries to give you a heads up about where all that stuff might appear in GitHub so that you can get a handle on whether there's just chatter about it, whether there's a POC for it, whether the vendor's dealt with it or the project has dealt with it. It's really fascinating concept that you could run this literally every day so that you can get a handle on things. I mean, imagine being able to get ahead of things, Kimber.
yeah, that sounds pretty helpful. I will admit that my first thought is like sounds like it might be a little too slow if you're waiting upon the GitHub that is published in the NDD, but still very helpful.
I mean, it might have identified. So my first thought was, it might have helped identify some Log4j stuff faster than the response time was for Log4j. It might have. So because that was under the radar really quick, and then it like zoomed on the radar really fast. But there might have been a day where we could have all had a little bit more time to deal with some of those things.
Thing
So
matters.
yeah, it does. So a vulnerability that is known to the party or parties responsible for patching or fixing it. That was probably from the previous one. So what we're going to do is like, so what's the risk? Those vulnerabilities might make it possible for attackers to harvest them and basically do stuff with them. And you can read off the rest of their site. You don't need me to read things for you. What you're seeing on the screen now, if you're watching and if you read the show notes, I don't just tell people about tools if I don't try them first, because that's not reporting. That's not what we want to do. I tried it out to make sure it's actually legit. I looked at the code first. It's not doing anything bad to your system, and it does require your token, your GitHub token, because it's doing more calls than the free API lets you go do. And I had this one go back. I did this morning, so I had to go back 10 days looking for repos with 5 or more stars. You could get all the repos if you want. The default's 50. It does that because popularity, like, of the actual tool. That means you might not like. There's a lot of garbage in CVE too. Like people just do CVEs to get CVEs, and there's CVE scores. It's like the Erdos number for people that write papers. How many CVEs you got is like a pride thing. So like there are some what I will call garbage CVEs out there. But anyway, I'm gonna get such hate mail for that one. They found a lot, and actually one that really bugged me a little bit. I fancy myself a bit of a Rust programmer every so often, and the Axios library did have some issues, and I have to go poke at that CVE 20. I don't think it's a big one. I would have probably seen that appear in some GitHub things that I use it for, but that's a thing that I didn't know about before. So it works, does what it says on the tin. Seems to be you might get a little bit of advanced notice for stuff that you use, especially if it is a GitHub developed product that's out there.
You might learn about some stuff that you don't know about.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point too. And you can keep tabs on what's happening with the repos on these things too, if you weren't doing that already. So I think this is a neat tool. Good job on them for making it out there, and go contribute if you have ideas. That's how we make things better. As you heard last week from Constantine, the ideas of the community make the products, make the services, make the tools, make everything better. So jump on if you have ideas, even if it's just an idea, or help write some documentation, whatever you can do. If you're not a coder, I'm sure you have great thoughts and great things and can plug into this really well. Time for some shameless self-promotion, because that's what we're here for, right? We're not going to dig into detail because the blog does a bit of this, and BitSite did a great job on this earlier this year when they first released this. If CVE 2023-29552, the SLP service location protocol denial of service attack vulnerability. Our blog title is sliding away with reflection amplification thanks to the CVE. Kimber, I don't know if I've ever, and I didn't poke a lot, but I don't know if I've ever seen a CVE for like an IETF RFC, because that's what this is, really.
Yeah, we've definitely seen CVEs for those before, because yeah, protocols have CVEs.
Okay.
Most popularly, the X11 protocol has a
Okay. All right.
CVE
Good
from
point.
1999. But Cisco has protocols that have CVEs. I'm trying to think of specific RFC numbers, but I think that might be too far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, for now.
That's very rabbit hole knowledge, and I'm going to stay out of the rabbit hole. But protocols have CVEs.
It's a little depressing knowing that, like, so the vendors can't actually implement the RFC as well, and now the actual RFCs themselves have vulnerabilities. So, like,
Isn't that crazy?
why do we even bother, Kimber? I don't.
Like, for the fun of the game.
Cool.
Just for the fun of it.
Cool. I guess if there are going to be games to be had, you might as well be part of it, right? Instead of being a farmer or something that's out there. And I would like you to talk about this next one, since you and your team are the ones that help bring this to life.
So one of the fun things about the new sensor technology that we are testing, playing with, probably going to roll out to our entire fleet at some point, is that they capture in full PCAP. And we were like, well, if they're capturing in PCAP, we should probably provide the ability to use the analysis engine in PCAP formats. So on GreyNoise now, you can upload a PCAP capture up to 500 megaboops.
No way. Wait. We upped it? We upped it to half a gig? Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was like, if you're going to be doing PCAPs, like, it's more fun if you can do more. If y'all, I want to know what people are looking for. So I want to know if people want to use GreyNoise on PCAPs. So please throw all of your PCAPs at our analysis tool, and it will pull out the things that GreyNoise has identified and the things that GreyNoise has not identified. It specifically looks at the source IP, so where the traffic is coming from, because your destination IP is largely going to be the same if you're capturing from a box, from a sensor. So it was built specifically to start taking a look at sensor data for those people that are in our early access program. So it's a really good way to do some bulk analysis on a PCAP. I'm getting GreyNoise into the PCAP analysis game with this, I hope. And yeah, use it, see what happens. And hopefully it identifies unknown IPs for you. I think that that is the most interesting thing to pull from a PCAP is what traffic do I need to focus on in
exactly
this? Because when you know those IPs that are unknown to GreyNoise, you can then use a filter in Wireshark to check out the full transaction in the PCAP itself.
Yeah, this is great. This was so cool. The
Yes.
demo, the internal demo was so cool the other day, and it works great. So drop your PCAP. It doesn't have to be our sensor PCAPs, any PCAPs, any packet capture, and any packet captures you have, PCAP NG, PCAP, drop them in there, use them, give us feedback. Love to hear feedback on what you like, what you don't like. We have 3 tags since the last time we all got together. Fave icon scanner, so you can track all the people scanning for fave icons. There's a lot of folks looking at fave icons. The SLP scanner, so not the CVE, but just folks looking for SLP endpoints, and more PHP RCE checks for in this particular piece of PHP software. I'm showing graphs now of like some of these things. The coolest thing on the graph is also something that Jen on the user interface team on the UX team did. New cool. I don't know why it's so compelling, because it's literally it is literally an annotation line showing when the tag was created with it's such a simple yet elegant graph. We have obsessed about this since we saw it yesterday. I think all of us at GreyNoise. It's so well done. It's just brilliant. And so you can see when the tag was created if it's been recent enough. And that way you can see like we went, and what you're seeing on the screen right now is for the fave icon one. Again, best engineering team on the planet. We have the ability to go back a bunch of days. We only show you a handful, like about 30 days in the visualizer for the actual time series traffic. And if we go back 30 days, look for what the traffic we've seen. So we tag all that traffic, so you get the value of that tag retroactively. So you can use that on all your hunts as well too that you're doing with GreyNoise data. It's really helpful, and you get to see when that tag. We tell you the date anyway, but now you can see it. There's just something about seeing it, Kimber. I don't know. It's just this is gorgeous.
It orients you in time and space like so well.
Yeah.
Nice touch. Very ratatouille on that.
Just great job to the design and implementation teams on this one. Y'all hit this one out of the park. We're gonna cruise through some of those. So we need to talk about Kev. That's the new name of the section for talking about CISA and Kev stuff. Unless Microsoft dropped stuff early today and all the other ones that do Patch Tuesday stuff, there has been one day since yesterday. And we have tags for virtually all of them, so we're not going to read through them all. You can go on Kev and see those. I just want to make sure you knew we had tags. Again, we have tag for people scanning for SLP endpoints. We do not have yet for at least in the normal infrastructure, the classic sensor network, as I like to say. For the actual denial of service, we're still working on CVE 2023-36851, which is missing authentication as well. That's something that was probably in the queue. I need to go look. So stay tuned for those. Some more graphs that people want to see. So
the tag created, and then you can see the traffic coming.
Yeah, and like I had this on there for the Atlassian one. I just wanted to because it made it into Kev the other week, and you can kind of see on here like, wow, we actually start seeing activity within like hours of the tag actually being available, and nothing previous to that. So we actually, it's always great being early to the game. It's great knowing ahead of time, so you get protected early. This is the Juniper one as well too for the variable injection, and like we've had coverage of this one for a while. So the attacks have been, and CISA's a little late to the game on this one because we've been seeing attacks for a while, and CISA just added these. So we beat you yet again, Todd. It's all you. We're done. It's just letting you know that. Same thing for the arbitrary file upload. So really quickly closing this out, I want to give more props to CISA and other country level cyber centers. So the Australian Signals Directive of the Australian Cyber Security Center, they spell center better than we do. That's all I'm going to say. Like we need to change the spelling of center. Yeah, I like that. So as we said before, like in that one section where it's like, you know, the ransomware attackers can use alternate infrastructure to do things if they ever get hit or attempted to be disrupted. So the ACSC, in partnership also with CISA now, has this business continuity in a box solution. It's got two components: continuity of communications and continuity of applications. This business continuity box basically gives you the ability to communicate effectively with your incident response team, and may also help keep business critical applications running out there. It's well documented. I'm really glad CIS is partnering with the ACSC. I used to do work with both of those folks. I still work with we do work with them now, but I did a lot more like hands-on with both of those in the back in the day. All the folks at GreyNoise do that work now. So that's the life of being someone who doesn't get to do hands-on stuff anymore. Anyway, so this is great. So be proud of the national security centers that are out there. They all do great work, and they're collaborating more than ever, and this helps a lot. And then finally, no dig into this one. There's a new best practices guide for developers, suppliers, and customers to help ensure a secure software supply chain. This is about SBOMs. SBOMs is kind of dry topic. I care about SBOMs a little less than I used to, but they're still important. This document, if you still need to understand it, where its place is in vulnerability management, a joint release by like all the acronyms, like tons and tons of acronyms, and a terrible URL on top of it. Uppercase and spaces in URLs, Kimber. Who does that? Who does that?
The government does this.
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently so. And just a reminder that we are on Discord. So, Kimber, it was kind of nice playing today without the adults around.
This was good. This was good. The adults should go host workshops more often.
Absolutely.
And people in the world should go visit those workshops, and we'll just be over here talking about conspiracy theories.
Again, we
as
shall
a treat.
do that again. Yes, absolutely. Well, Kimber, thank you for carving out time today. Thank you again to your team for dropping the cool PCAP thing. This is literally one of the coolest things ever that we've had at GreyNoise in a while. It's great. You got the surprise thing happening behind you. That's so cool. Yeah. So we'll have a Discord link in the show notes. Every time we try to paste them into here, it dies. Like every single time we've tried to do Discord links in this platform, and what it does. So just take it with the show notes. We'll have Discord stuff. If you're not in the community Slack, hit up the community Slack, because I'm sure that we will have stuff in there as well too. If you want to go do stuff there, and or the Discord stuff, we have links for all those. So yeah, just wait for the show notes. It works better. Don't ask me why this platform doesn't do it well. It just doesn't. It's nothing we can do. So Kimber, again, thank you for taking time. Thank you for the awesome work for your team. It's been great today.
Thanks, Bob. It's been great. I really appreciate it.
All right, everyone, we will catch you on the next Storm Watch with, unfortunately, Glenn being back. Have a good week.
Bye.